Cameras out.
It should be fine. Meeting is now streaming. Hi, this is Stephen Barnes.
Hey, Antonana Do. How are you? Surprise! Pop up.
Yeah, it's a pop-up. We're trying to do it on Wednesdays at about 6 o'clock. And I'm just delighted to be here. And we're working with the technology. So Tananarive is over transferring stuff from one page to the next.
Yeah, I'm just making sure that people on my page can also watch this.
This is great.
We are super excited. Well, I mean,
no,
okay.
we are super excited.
We are,
it's true.
But before we talk about being super excited, I want to acknowledge that it's especially meaningful to feel super excited at a time that is so horrible outside, right?
I almost feel guilty because life is very good for us, and it's one of the reasons why we try to reach out and share as much as possible. Why I try to communicate with you guys 5 times a day to remind you to breathe and take care of yourself.
I saw that post. That was great.
It is a time that's very stressful to a lot of people, and we have a lot of joy in our lives, and so we just want to share it.
Right. And there's something that just happened that we can't talk about yet because it isn't official yet. But we just found out last week that our Twilight Zone episode, A Small Town, which will be episode number 8 in season 2, which we thought we would have to wait 8 weeks after next week's debut of season 2 before our episode, is actually going to be dropping on the same day. So all of the Twilight Zone episodes are dropping next Thursday, June 25th, including our episode that stars Damon Wayans Jr.
So what is it that we're planning to do for that? You're going to have to stay posted so that we can tell you exactly. But what we're planning to do is we want to do a viewing party.
Oh heck yes. We had talked before COVID, we had talked about renting a space and trying to have a premiere with some friends.
We talked about renting a theater, a dinner theater.
But of course we can't do that now. I don't care what the law says. I'm not taking my black you-know-what anywhere in public gatherings. No, thank you. It's not the time. But we can use social media. So I'll have probably a live tweet and also a viewing party here on Facebook and YouTube Live so that
that's right.
We can. We really want to share this moment with everyone. This has been a long time coming for me. I mean, not like some people here who have like a dozen television credits. This is my first.
But my career got derailed because it was important for me to take care of some family things. And as hard as that was, and I've talked about that, I haven't been shy about that. When your values are clear, it may be decisions may be tough, but you can make them rapidly. And there is nothing that I would not do for my family. And I figured, quite honestly, that if I gave everything I had to the obligations that God had given me, that he would not punish me for trying to be a good father, a good husband. And it looks like the universe is coming around, and we're going to have those opportunities. And what we want to share with you is not just the joy that we feel in having a chance to see our visions, but also the methodology. What have we learned about this? Because that's something we're both committed to, is leaving a trail of breadcrumbs.
And the first thing I really want to leave with all of you is that even this new opportunity I can't talk about is partially born of a screenplay.
It's good.
Partially born of a screenplay that we weren't able to sell. Frankly, it was one of the biggest disappointments in my Hollywood career. The day we got that call from our manager that it wasn't going to happen, and great things have happened since then. It's going to be a graphic novel from Megascope, John Jennings' line at Abrams Comic Arts. So that's very exciting. And also it's an amazing writing sample, and that writing sample is opening doors for us. So I tweeted this the other day, but I want to be clear to all of you, especially if you're screenwriters, because for screenwriters, if it doesn't sell, we're generally not going to go self-publish. Very few people are interested in reading scripts, much less, there isn't a market for self-published scripts the way there is for self-published books. So very often you can feel like if a script doesn't sell, it's a waste of time. But unfortunately, guess what? Most scripts are not going to sell.
That's right.
And even if they do, guess what? Most scripts that sell are not going to get produced. So finding your reasons to keep digging in is a little bit tougher for screenwriters.
If you talk to screenwriters, they will say, like Josh Olson talked about having written, 2 feet of scripts before he sold his first one.
Right.
That's just to give you an idea of the amount of work that it takes. If you figure that Hollywood is one of the most competitive businesses in the world, the Hollywood screenwriting business, one of the most competitive in the world, you're going to need the equivalent of a master's degree. to get in the door. And so how much work is that? That's 4 years of work to get a master's degree?
Well, no, generally about 1 or 2, actually.
Really?
For a PhD, it's 3, maybe 4.
No. But you
A master's
from the
degree.
time you start
Oh,
college?
from the time you start college, it would be 4 for the undergraduate, and then 1 or 2 for the master's.
Yeah, so 4 to 6 years of work, and that's constant work in order to do that. So just accept that you're going to have to do that much work. Accept that you're going to have to work your butt off. Yes, you will hear stories of people who sold their first script, but you had better leaven those with the stories of people who worked and worked and worked and never got in.
Listen, it is a tough and highly competitive industry. You can be in and then be out. I mean, it's just a roller coaster ride. And I decided some years ago, when there was film interest in several of my novels, that I wanted to learn screenwriting so I could maybe help get some of those projects over the finish line. It's one of the smartest things I ever did. I tell prose writers all the time, learn how to write scripts, because not only might you help get one of your projects sold as a film, because they might buy a script and think it sucks and hire someone else to write it, but that you still got to set up. See what I'm saying? A script is closer to being a movie than a book by a mile. So learn how to write scripts. This is the time, people.
Absolutely. And we're talking about using animation software to make our own little movie. We'll give you more details about that later on, but there's a part of it, it's like, why wait? It's a project that we love. It's something that would be a lot of fun. We'd be able to involve family in it, to do voices, and we can actually do it, in the midst of the plague. So it's that, what are you learning today? What are you doing today to move you towards your dream?
Yes.
What are you doing to keep yourself sane, in the midst of all this? I see people who are just roasting with stress out there. Please take care of yourselves, and take your passion and turn it into work. Emotion is intended to motivate you to act. If you sit on your emotions, they will chew you up. But if you can act, if you can write, you can dream. Writing something down is halfway between, having it just in your head and having it exist in reality. If you write a story, if you write a script, you're doing something with your emotions. Create art, do something. If you will do that, you can save yourself. It breaks my heart to see all the people who are just savagely hurting out there right now. What we want to do is know how we can serve you. Life is a blessing for us. I get to wake up every morning with my best friend, and we watch movies and Columbo episodes and stuff at night.
Best friend you waking up with?
It's this beautiful, brilliant woman who I was blessed enough to have a chance to meet. And don't you ever think that any of my displeasures, with this or that, those are little things. They're tiny things. The fact is that I know how lucky I am.
Well, we both know that, my dear. And I'm really grateful at what we've been able to build together. I'm really grateful for these platforms so we can try to lift as we climb.
Yes.
There's been a lot of there's been a very steep learning curve for me coming from completely outside of Hollywood.
Yes.
And as soon as I learned it, I'm trying to pass it on. So one thing I just posted in the comment field on Steve's page, if you're watching this on Facebook, is a link to my Vanity Fair story I wrote, which is Can We Live?, which I published right after a lot of the uprising started in the wake of George Floyd's death. Breonna Taylor, still no arrest there, just so heartbreaking. But in any case, the part of the point of that article was not just to contextualize why people were so angry and why people, not just angry, really terrified, but also how writing became a necessary part of my life, not just a fun part of my life or a part of my life I wanted to pursue, but something that I realized could be actually necessary for my mental health. So I want to encourage all of you who are writers. I know that writers are falling in a few categories. Those of us who are really able to just dig down, and I finished a novel, during quarantine that I've been working on for 7 years. So some of us have really been able to be productive. And then others are listening to stories of that productivity and feeling bad about themselves. So we don't want anyone feeling bad about themselves. If you are finding more joy in your garden, if you're finding more joy in your kids because you don't get to see them that much and now you're under quarantine, whatever, wherever you're finding joy is beautiful. But if you feel like you want to write, but there are emotional blocks because of the times, try to find a way to soften the story, to take the teeth, like the teeth that are cutting you, out of the story, which for me often is speculative fiction. So if I write it as science fiction or fantasy or horror, I'm not writing about the thing itself that's in my face. I'm writing about it through a funhouse mirror that enables me to walk a little bit closer to it. So find, for lack of a better term, a fun way to write what you want to write about.
Absolutely. You know that the process that I have set up for students is you write at least one sentence a day. You finish 1 to 4 short stories a month. You complete your stories and you send them out for publication. You don't rewrite except to editorial request. You read 10 times as much as you write, and you repeat this process 100 times. Now, if you were to adapt this for screenwriting, instead of writing short stories, maybe you can write short film scripts.
Absolutely.
I mean, seriously.
If you're a learning screenwriter, please don't try to write a feature right out of the box.
Yeah.
Definitely start with a script that's 15, 20, maybe 30 pages.
That's right. And so you do that. So, short. I wanted to share one thing about screenwriting that I learned from Harlan Ellison. I was lucky enough when I wrote for the Twilight Zone back in the 1980s. Harlan was on the staff there, and that was it was amazing experience because he was my idol. I mean, I'm just going to be honest about that. He just was. I remember when he looked at me coming in the room, he knew me from fandom, but it was like, how did you get here, Steve?
Almost called security. No, just kidding.
No, what he basically told me was, just keep my eyes on the ball and don't look back. Because, and that's true. I mean, I wish I'd taken that advice more.
You took your eyes off the ball?
I took my eyes off the ball. I froze with fear.
You look back?
I looked back. There was something gaining on me. I wrote what they said was the best first draft they'd ever seen. And then they asked me, could I expand it out and make it a longer segment? And I froze. I couldn't do it.
I've had that. Have you all had that moment where, like, I had a novella that I wrote as an undergraduate at Northwestern, and I started sending it around. And obviously editors were like, well, we don't publish novellas. But one house said, could you expand it out to a novel? And I didn't write a bad draft. I couldn't write it.
Right.
I didn't believe in myself enough to try to expand it out.
So what I'm trying to say to you is that we're under a lot of stress right now. Everybody. And you can use this as that existential stress, the disease stress, the loneliness, the ennui stress, the cabin fever stress, to learn how to deal with your fear. Because as you move into your career, what I promise you is that fear is going to be a constant. It's going to be something you're going to be dealing with. If you're an artist, it is, because an artist has to you can't just stay with what you're comfortable doing.
No.
You turn into a hack when you do that. You have to go into what, once again, Harlan called the burning core, the things that you're afraid of, the unspoken things, the unspeakable things, the things that you don't dare put out there. That's the stuff, your mess becomes your message. That's the stuff that's actually the most powerful thing that you have to say. The thing that the people don't want you to say, that society doesn't want you to say, that you're afraid of saying, that might very well be the thing you need to say in order to be honest, in order to be an artist. You're not going to be able to do that if you let fear stop you. So I let fear mess me up back on the Twilight Zone. And, God bless Harlan. He was trying to tell me, he was trying to warn me. He cared, and he cared about writers passionately. And he knows that, when you get writer's block is anything that stops you from writing and finishing what you write and submitting it and constantly improving the quality of what you're doing.
And moving on to the next project when it's finished. I mean, if we were putting all of our energy into trying to sell our script that didn't sell, right, I wouldn't have my novel finished right now.
And we wouldn't have the opportunities that are happening right now. I'm working very hard. I finished my second run through on the graphic novel with Charles Johnson and John Jennings.
Yes. Oh, y'all didn't know he's doing a graphic novel with Charles Johnson, National Book Award winner, called The Eightfold Path.
Yes, I am, and and as a couple of other possibilities began to get more and more real, I realized, my God, I don't want to have too many of these things stacked up. How are we going to handle this if all this happens at the same time? Because that is, of course, what happens. The stuff stacks up on you.
Organization. That's
organization,
how you handle it.
And being able to deal with your fear.
Yeah.
This is going to be scary. I'm not going to lie to you, because I care about this. This is a chance to get back on a horse that I got thrown off of 20 something years ago, almost 25 years ago.
You back on that horse again.
I'm back on that horse.
This episode comes out next Thursday. It's going to be real.
And we will give you information about how to join us so that you can watch it with us. We'll be tweeting, and then we'll do a Q&A after.
We've been dying to talk about this episode. There's so little, Twilight Zone is a very secretive operation, like very secret.
Jordan is very protective for good reason.
So I could we told you in a previous Life Writing Live, even though there were articles popping up in national media in Canada about our shoot, our episode, our set, we couldn't say anything about it. So now there's a little bit we can say. CBS set up an interview with us that we're going to be doing Friday,
right?
Where we can just sort of tease out a little bit about, I don't even know what, but whatever it is, it won't be much. But we will be talking about it. But after it comes out, we can say so much more. And
absolutely.
In fact, once it comes out, there's a sketch that I made at the very beginning. I don't know if you remember this, when we were still coming up with the episode and coming up with ideas and mapping it out. I drew a sketch that for me was, I can't even say yet. Well, the episode is called A Small Town, so I'll say the sketch was of the town.
Yeah, because we did lay out the town. We did some schematic laying out the town.
So that to me was, talk about being outside of your comfort zone. I've never had an episode of television before. We did Danger Word, which we crowdfunded, but this is my first TV credits. So of course you have to overcome all kinds of imposter syndrome to even walk into that room to pitch. And
you really do.
That you need to be, that you should be there.
You have to hide your fear. I made the mistake one time of letting people in a room know that I had confidence I could do it if I could learn in time. So it's like, you might need to help me learn this, that, and that. That room went cold instantly.
Nobody wants to help you teach.
No. They don't want a student. They want the master.
Yeah.
So, when people in Hollywood, I'm sure it's true with actors and directors, everything else, we talk about, why are people so egotistical? Because you have to have that level of confidence.
Absolutely. Oh yeah.
So, your guys are family. I will let it out to you that where I'm feeling insecure, where, the voices in my head wonder whether or not I can do it, whether or not that bus is passed, whether or not the opportunities just aren't going to be there for me. But I have to fight back. I have to have a voice in my head that says, no, I can do this. I've got everything I need to do this. Every morning I do my morning ritual and just say, all I need is within me now. And that's not a joke. That's not something theoretical. It's so that I can juggle these projects, so that I can be the best husband, and father, and writer, and friend, and mentor that I can be, so I can be of use to the community, and I can also serve my own heart.
I'm really glad you brought up the morning ritual, because this is a point I want to make to the rest of you. I know everyone is undergoing stress. Just when we thought we had enough stress, then we had this spate of killings culminating with not culminating, unfortunately, with George Floyd, but that was the straw that broke the camel's back in terms of international protests. So the stress level went from 100 to 200, right? For a lot of people. And if you have not adopted a new practice, like about 2 months into the quarantine, I realized I needed to find a space outside of these walls that was safe for me. So the backyard became another room of the house for me. I can walk 2 miles in my own yard now, which is something that never even occurred to me to do before.
This is one lap, right?
No, it's not. It's several really super monotonous laps. Now I have advanced to wearing a mask on the sidewalk, but I'm really disdained by how many people are out, groups of people out without masks on, which just tells me we're going to be hunkered down for a long time. So this is not by any means
Please stay
over.
safe.
So yes, stay safe. Wear the masks. Do not go to bars. They're like the most likely place. Bars and churches are like the most likely place to get COVID right now. They're at a 9, and grocery shopping is at a 3.
Although, I wanted to say something about the people who are flooding into the streets, and because they're not all social distancing and they're not all wearing
Oh,
masks.
they're really
I
not.
wish they would, but they're clearly risking themselves to do that.
Oh, you
And
mean the protesters?
The protesters.
Well, a lot of them do wear masks, and I've heard stories of like sanitizing stations.
Great,
And
great.
there is some, although some people are getting
But
sick.
no matter what they do, they're taking a risk. And you know how I see that? I think about Saving Private Ryan. I think about images of American soldiers storming the beach at Normandy. They know that those bullets can kill them, but there was something more important than their safety. I am so proud
Patriots
of these kids
heroes.
who are out there, patriots, heroes. The millennials that people have been spitting on are putting their lives and their honor at risk
to stand up for what they believe
to stand up for what they believe in
and the country they want that does not match the image of the country that is.
I'm telling you, I am so proud of our children. I'm so proud of every brother and sister who's going out there saying, this is not the world we want to live in. Absolutely. We're going to create a better world for all of us. And I just want to say, I hear you. I see it, and it gladdens my heart. It makes me want to cry with pride.
Yes.
But I want you to stay safe. We're creating right now the world that we want our children to live in. And, hopefully our creativity and the things that we're doing and what we're going to be able to share with you is going to be a part of that process. So stay with us.
So joy is a part of healing. So yes. That's why we like to share joy.
Yes.
But also, I was going to say, if you don't have a practice that's new, like for me, walking around in circuits in my yard, believe me, that's not something I used to do.
So why don't you tell them a little bit about what it is exactly your morning ritual is? I've talked about mine before.
And this is something from Steve, so it's probably yours. I mean, I have a song that I have good associations with from a high performance expo I attended with our business partners by a life coach named Brendan Bouchard.
Yes, excellent man.
And he was playing a song by the Black Eyed Peas called "I Got a Feeling," which I now associate with that expo, which was very high energy. It was it was almost like a church service, but a secular church service, if that makes any sense. And I came home really energized. So every time I hear that song, it takes me back to that. And I do affirmations, like for the first, it's like 10-minute ritual. The first 2 minutes are an affirmation every day, and every way I'm getting better and better, just to really feel it. And like sometimes I'm really moving to the music while I walk. And then the next is a gratitude meditation. I don't as often sit quietly and meditate gratitude, which I think I need to add back in the mix. But while I'm walking, I think of everything. I'm starting with my health because, in the early days of COVID, I'm a hypochondriac. So I was sure every morning I had it, So I really am so grateful for my health. I'm grateful for Steve and for Jason. I just go through all the people in my life I'm grateful for. Then it's like the planning steps for my day. Like, what do I need to get done today? What's my plan to reach all my goals and have everything done today? And then I end the last couple minutes of walking in the circuit in my yard, which really is about 0.6 miles, usually when I finish, is to again, back to affirmations. I am strong enough. I have the energy. I am intelligent enough. I am worthy. I can do this,
Absolutely.
Just to boost myself up. And it's not just a ritual right now for me. It's a necessity because I don't ever want to feel that stress boiling at the levels I was feeling in the beginning. I had shoulder pain. I had back aches. I know someone who gained an eye twitch. Does this sound like anyone who's watching, where you have these weird symptoms all of a sudden and you're thinking, oh my gosh, do I brave going to the doctor's office?
Every morning I wake up and feel just a little bit sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
Every morning. And I literally,
that's just 2020 right there.
Yeah, I literally have to think into it, feel into it, breathe into it, remember my commitment until that sick knot begins to dissolve. And then I know that I'm ready for my day, because I'm not going to give that sickness, that sense of fear to my family. I'm not going to give it to you, my community. I have to deal with that. That's my stuff to deal with.
Right. So find your ritual, and it may take more than one. I'm playing a lot more piano than I used to. Steve has taken up piano. He has a keyboard now. He's doing great, actually. I've taken up animations, like doing little animations on an app called Toonly. So they say quarantine hobby as if that's kind of a joke. It's not a joke. you do need something to occupy and excite you during this monotonous time so that we can fight the temptation to do things that would be dangerous to us and dangerous to our families.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I want to let you guys go. This is kind of just a pop up to say hi.
Hey.
We'd love for you to be part of our community over at lifewritingpremium.com.
I put the link up in the comments so you can check it out.
Yeah, Tananarive is getting more involved with that. So we're going to be having essays from her. We're going to be upgrading things.
One essay from me every month talking about writing.
That's right. So listen, guys, you take care. Have a wonderful day. We'll be in touch soon and let you know about the viewing party next week.
Party. That's right. We need music at that party.
We need music. Absolutely. But we have to, you have to be careful. You can't put the music on YouTube.
All right, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out
because we need to dance. This is an exciting time for us, and we want to share that excitement with you. So everybody have a great week. We hope your week is going great, and we'll see you next time on Life Writing Live.
Take care. Bye-bye.